Manistee now. It started with Pat and I 5 years ago, working out of his kitchen, and we currently have a full office with 7 people there. In addition to those 7, and 2 of those are brand new hires this year. One from Brethren engineer and one from the Ludington area, a surveyor. And they just came on this year as full-time employees. We also have a lot of what we call frequent flyers. There's 7 people here I've listed that have been at many council meetings and have attended, and a lot of staff know these other people that are kind of specialized in streets or water or sewer. We made a commitment to our office when we came on board that we would open an office if we were the engineer of record. We did that, continuously growing it. This year we've added some more cubicle space to take on our new employees, and we're working with our landlord on expanding our footprint within that building. So just kind of slow, steady growth since we've been in that office. What I'm going to do really is just, I'm going to kind of hit some highlights, especially in the idea of moving through this quickly. I've kind of broken my presentation up into wastewater work, water, streets, and then some general engineering services we've done. The first 3 items there are basically ones we have beat to death over the last week. They have to do with the SAW grant, NPDS permitting, and rural development. I'm going to hit on one item there because we just passed a real critical deadline. I'll talk about that. 12th Street in Kosciuszko, that project is just finishing up. I understand they're going to be paving on Thursday. So that's the sewer replacement we did at the corner of 12th and Kosciuszko. And that was done to get ready for Filer Township connecting to the city system. The rehab lining project, that's going to be started. It is actually already started, but right now what they're doing is they're cleaning pipes. And I believe as early as next week, they will be starting to mobilize to look at lining the sewer system. So if council is interested in watching that process, feel free to email me, or I can get you John Bradley's contact information. We'll let you know where they're going to be. And Jeff's staff will know, of course, too. So definitely worth going out and watching the process. Very unique. If we had more time, I'd probably explain in detail, but we'll skip that tonight. Drumbo Pump Station, I think we talked about it before. There's been order issues out there. We had to pull a permit. We went through it should have been a simple permit. It kind of took a while, but we have the permit in place. And I don't know if they've installed it yet, Jeff?
Equipment arrived yesterday.
Okay, so we basically have a large carbon scrubbing unit that will help reduce those odors at the Drumbo Pump Station. So we assist with permitting there. At the plant, RAS pumps were finished up last year. We're painting the digester cover. And I got a few photos on these I can show you as well. There's a contract just getting ready to initiate and replacing the sludge pump. And then there's a lot of just general wastewater items we do, like estimating the size of the SSOs we have or answering questions. I wanted to pull this slide up, and it's a little blurry because it's zoomed out so far, but we have actually finished televising your sanitary sewer system. And that for me is a big deal because if you recall, we started that 2.5 years ago. We have been televising your system for almost 2.5 years, nonstop in the summer months. To get through it all, it's about 40 plus miles of sewer. So we're done, at least everything we can physically televise with their equipment. This is a very generalized, and my other engineers would hesitate for me showing this, but basically we're showing what I'd call good, fair, and poor pipes in your system. Similar to what we look at with roads, we can do that on a very generic basis with the pipes. This gives you kind of a real rough sense of where kind of the good or bad pipes are in the city. There's a lot of details to that come up in that analysis. But this is really important with our streets. We've talked about this before. All these areas in red are poor infrastructure. We may be able to line them and fix them, and therefore we could replace the street above them, or we may have to tear them out. So that's our next and our last step in the SAW process, is actually laying out what are the capital improvement projects we have to do and how those will mesh with other projects, whether it's water or streets. But it's a snapshot of what's underground to give you a sense of it. You've seen this probably too many times, but I'm showing it because yesterday we submitted the basis of design to the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality. We've been working on that for 6+ months. A key submittal we just made, and now we'll be in the process of working with, negotiating, whatever you want to call it, with the DEQ, and that will take time. I mean, this will be a back and forth process, but step one, we met our deadline. I expect Mayor Pro Tem might have asked me tonight, are we on schedule? And so that was a critical when we met, and our next one will be plans and specifications for actually constructing the project, which is in March of next year. We'll have a lot of interim deadlines for permitting and getting funding, but the DEQ sees March for plans and specs, with construction starting in July. Picture's worth 1,000 words sometimes. This is a very, very crude, kind of rendering. You'll see that we've talked in the past about the size of these storage basins. We've talked about 6 million gallons, 4 tanks. This one we're showing 3 tanks. We've applied funding-wise for 6 million gallons of storage and probably roughly 4 tanks. We're proposing to the DEQ, based on our hydraulic modeling, probably closer to 5 million gallons. So it's a little less, we may be able to do it with 3 tanks. We don't know the answer until the DEQ comes back and tells us the answer. And we'll know that in several months probably. But that's kind of how we've gone in with it, with 5 million gallons. So that's if we can get to 3 tanks, that saves money. So hopefully that happens. We don't know until we actually work with the DEQ. These are drawn roughly to scale here. So you get a little sense of the size of it. I mean, these are large diameter tanks. Some of the infrastructure here likely will change, but just to give you a sense of it, we have to put in a pumping facility, because now we're bringing all the wastewater down to the wastewater treatment plant. And if the treatment plant can take it, we'll pump it to the plant. If it can't, the excess will be pumped into these tanks and then allowed to drain back to the plant and treat it. But I thought just to give you a kind of sense of what's, and you'll see a lot more details in this in the future. I mentioned 12th Street, Kosciuszko Sanitary Sewer. These are just some pictures of it. The one that always is interesting to me is this middle photo here. We crossed underneath the Morton pipelines. They have pipelines that crisscross the city, and there's return lines, there's water lines going out that go out to the wells and bring brine back. There's communication, there's electrical, but it's basically spaghetti that we had to work underneath. The city played a big role in this because we bid out the contractor to do the cleaning around this as a line item, or the city to do the cleaning and then the contractor to work underneath it. And I can't remember the number we saved yet, but it was 10.
It was about 60,000 between that and bypass pumping.
And yeah, and then we also did bypass pumping, the city did. And we bid them so we could understand the value of the city doing that work. So that was about 60 grand between cleaning this out and bypassing it. So well worth the city staff time on that. We'll continue to do that in the future so we can at least quantify the cost of doing the work. Also at the treatment plant, the digester is located at the north end of the north end of the plant here. It's orange, or it's actually kind of rust colored. It's due for painting. It was definitely well overdue for painting. They're inside it right now doing painting of that digester. So when they did the sludge haul, it was emptied, cleaned out. Contractor came in. This is kind of how it looked before from underneath. They sandblasted it, and then they primed it. And I think they're well over 50%. I don't know if they moved to the top cover yet at all, Jeff.
This week, yeah.
Okay, so they finished painting underneath. Now they're going on top of it, and so they're painting the top of the structure.
You didn't find any issues with that as we did the work?
No, it was a good point because we were concerned about that. We didn't know what it looked like. So this guy right here in the back, Rich Catherines, he's a structural engineer. He was in there 3 weeks ago, Rich, something like that. And so they walked in. We looked for basically those structural concerns, and if we had to remove and replace steel or not. I mentioned the pilot lining project. This will be the first chance you'll be able to see the lining of the sewers. We're also lining manholes. We'll be doing that as well. This is just what streets that work will be done on. That's what that carbon filter unit will look like, or something similar to that on Drumbo Street. There's just a few water projects. Asset management, pilot drinking water we've talked about, getting a grant there. And M55, the water main hangs underneath the bridge. and the bridge has to be replaced in 2020. We've talked about water asset management before, I'm not going to go through that, but we've quantified a lot of the systems components. Kind of moving over to streets. This, a lot of standard items we do every year. Transportation Improvement Program, we update it, we do cores to looking ahead. 2018, we did the work at Kosciuszko and 12th because that'll be resurfaced with that project. And then we did all the mill and fill projects that are basically finishing up right now. And I have a slide just to show you a picture of where the work was done. The bridge does have an underwater inspection due this year. It's required by the MDOT. And we helped Jeff out with his updates on his Act 51 map certification. Looking ahead to 2019, updating the TIP. Your street asset management plan, that document is due for renewal this year, so I'll be working with Ed and Jeff on updating that document as well. That's separate from the TIP, that's the actual on-file asset management plan of the state. We're going to be doing a lot of work next year on roads. There is 12th Street from US 31 to Maple, full reconstruct except for a portion of it. We're going to be reconstructing as part of the sewer project along Ramsdale. As part of the major streets, and then local streets, we'll be doing 7th and Ramsdale as reconstruct. We've got the projects related to the oil and gas money we'll be doing, as well as the funds we already had inside the street fund. So there's a lot of street work happening next year, and a lot of it is reconstruction. I won't go through the details, we can look at the maps on that. So this is the work that was done this year. We're pretty close to finishing the contract right now. We're working with Elmer's. They did a great job, very efficient, moved quickly. We have a couple erosion items that we're working on along a couple streets. We're trying to get to a solution on what to do with them. Once we figure those out, we'll do that work, and then we'll be finalizing out this year's work. Just a couple photos from this year's work on 9th Street in the upper right-hand corner after paving. 9th Street was actually crushed and shaped, so that's the upper left-hand during the process. And then there was some work done at 1st Street near the intersection of US 31. You can see the finished product there, which you're familiar with. A little hard to see, but this is 2019 to 2022 projects. Anything in orange will be our 2019 work that I was kind of going through earlier, so you can get a sense of it. It looks a lot smaller. As soon as we switch to reconstruct, our footprint gets small in a hurry due to costs. And you've seen these before, so we don't have to move them. I just thought it was worth including, kind of our big picture between 2015 when some of the committees first met, and we've been doing this work. This just gives you a little snapshot of what's been done and what we plan on doing over that 7-year period. It's not nearly enough. We know we have a long ways to go, but it just shows that we are at least starting to get some work done and accomplished for us to see. A lot of general engineering work we do. I'm not going to go through these, but there's a lot of things that just Jeff or Thad or Ed calls up and says we need help with this, and we just assist as we go. So just to kind of conclude, our future priorities, which are are driven by the city and council, are pretty much the same as last year. We're going to focus on getting your system inventoried and the condition assessed. We're going to focus on streets, and we're going to focus on getting rid of CSO or SSO 18. And those are a lot of other things happening in the background, but those are our primary focuses, unless given some other direction by council or staff.
I have a question.
Yes.
We'll know in a couple of months, you said, about whether we're going to need 3 or 4 tanks for storage. Do you know if we go down to 3, how much of a cost savings that might be to the city in its current plan?
It's really hard to tell now because we could go to, there's different size tanks, so we could go to, going to 3 helps save more money because of the foundations and everything, the piping that goes with it. But we could go to 3 tanks that are a little bigger too. So we may go from 6 to 5.5 million gallons. So we can still kind of stuff it into 3 tanks, but they're a little bigger. And so they get a little more costly. And that range, until we really hear from the DEQ and we can lay that out, it's difficult to say.
Okay.
It'd be a guess.
All right. Well, I won't put you on the spot to guess.
Thank you.
Is DEQ still holding you up, or are they getting stuff back?
Well, we're going through our next round, so we'll find out how this goes. So we'll start a process now. We found that some of the EQ has been very responsive, very helpful. We had one person we were working out of Southeast Michigan with the modeling, immediately, giving us answers and helping us out. But I don't know until probably in a couple weeks to a month, and if we don't hear anything, Villanova's going to start dragging out a little bit.
And how are we doing on the marina?
So I think we've got estimates from, Elmer's gave us an estimate on the work. We did a cost estimate. I think it's got to go to the insurance. So the insurance company's got to basically review it and tell us what they feel that is appropriate to pay, I guess. And so there's been discussion on what they'll pay for and whatnot, but until the insurance company tells us what they're going to pay, we've got ideas of what to do. We'd have to design some concepts and put it together quickly, but right now we're waiting on funding. So.
Any questions or comments? Thank you, Mr. Barrow.
Thank you.
Move on to concerns and comments. Citizen comment. This is an opportunity for citizens to comment on municipal services, activities, or areas of city involvement. Citizens in attendance shall be recognized by the mayor for comment, limited to 5 minutes. Letters submitted to council will not be publicly read. Are there any citizens that wish to make comment?
Helen Kenny, 586 8th Street. On behalf of the Manistee County Humane Society, we really appreciate and thank your support for approving our fundraiser, Start Your Month 2018. Thank you.
Are there any other citizens that wish to make comment? Please come forward.
Hello, my name is Kathy Wojcicka, and I appreciate the opportunity to introduce myself. I am running for state rep for the 101st District, which is, of course, Leelanau, Betsy, Manistee, and Mason counties. I live up in Empire with my husband Kent for the last 36 years, and we run our own remodeling, family-run construction business. What I've done in my life is I'm a registered nurse for the past 39 years, serving my patients and my students, and I want to carry that same attitude and service that I've conducted for 39 years down to Lansing to represent this district and the needs of the people. And so I've been working on this since the middle of January. I filed then, and so we have 4.5 months to go. There's been a lot of excitement in our campaign, so not only in Michigan but around the country. So I'm very happy to be on this journey, and I welcome any questions, or I've got literature that I've handed out. So our campaign belief is people first for the 101st. I'm not in the pockets of anyone, so I clearly represent just the people, and that's been my years of service as a nurse. So thank you for the time.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Any other citizen comments? Officials and staff? City manager?
Nothing at this time.
City attorney?
Nothing, Your Honor, thank you.
City clerk?
Nothing wrong. Thank you.
Public safety director?
I just really came up here to take away time from Jeff McCula. No, I just wanted a quick pass along some information. Last Saturday, we were at a fire over on 11th Street, wound up being able to contain that to the second floor. Want to take a moment and just recognize our local firefighters that we have with our department. Did an outstanding job. It was a very hot day. We started out there about 20 to 7 in the morning. Had 3 different levels of roofing, 3 different levels of siding on it, so we had a lot of hidden fire, and we were there for almost 8 hours working that. Also like to thank the Manistee Township Fire Department, the Filer Township Fire Department, which came and gave us a great assistance. So just wanted to pass it along to the council.
Thank you, Chief. Public Works, correct.
Nothing, Your Honor.
Chief Financial Officer?
Nothing, Your Honor.
City Engineer?
Nothing more, Your Honor.
council members. Councilman Cooper.
Yeah, we want to wish everybody a happy 4th of July.
It's been a great celebration so far. Let's keep it up and have a great evening tonight.
My turn?
Okay.
I just want to say that a boy to the fire department. I happened to be going down 31 when they passed me going to that fire. I pulled into the Goodwill store and watched, and they were a well-oiled machine. They laid hoses, they did everything just like you would see in a video. It was really a good job, and I actually went over and thanked them, and I just want them to know that they did a really good job. That's all I'm saying.
Happy faith, sir, or happy, safe 4th of July, everybody.
Happy 4th, and hope everybody gets to enjoy the facilities at the beach.
We have the service anniversary. Mike Belsack, 16 years. So we have a card.
Felichak, Mike Felichak.
We have a card for Mike and express our appreciation. It's always an honor to recognize the service anniversaries for our city employees. Thanks to all the citizens that have attended tonight and for the comments that you've made. Wishing everybody a safe and happy 4th of July. Motion to adjourn.
Motion.